guys, Evan from Gymaware. We're really happy to be supporting Coach DeMayo's podcast series once again. For those that don't know, our main product is Gymaware. It's the gold standard for measuring performance and implementing velocity-based training in the weight room. It excels in busy team training environments, and for many coaches, it's the Swiss Army knife of their toolkit. The Gymaware is used for athlete profiling, jump testing, fatigue monitoring, and for lifting within velocity zones. The system provides real-time feedback on individual targets, plus it's got an impressive range of leaderboards. Now, for those that are after a VBT device that's affordable, for the individual and for smaller groups, we recently released our new laser-based product, Flex. Importantly, it's been independently validated and proven to be both accurate and reliable. So if you're interested in either product, or you want to learn more about the velocity-based training and how it can help you as a coach, check out our website or contact us directly. So in the meantime, we trust you enjoy the Coach DeMayo's podcast, Outside the Rack.
The world of strength and conditioning is filled with some fantastic practitioners that are always searching for more. But more what? What are strength and conditioning coaches searching for to better their ability to prepare their athletes? Well, what about cutting-edge information? Or a place where you can find different opinions from forward-thinking coaches on what you're doing, how you're doing, and try to get feedback to be better for your athletes? Or what about a place where you'll find like-minded coaches that can provide solid coaching advice and career development for you as you progress through your career as a strength and conditioning professional? Well, this is exactly why we built the Strength Coach Network. You'll have access to exclusive monthly content on top of the sensationally active forum that we have where you can communicate with coaches all over the world to find those answers that you're looking for to help you be a better practitioner for your athletes. So make sure you hop on over to strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, that's strengthcoachnetwork.com/CVASPS, and get your 48-hour trial for only $1. I look forward to seeing you in the Strength Coach Network.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 56th episode of Outside the Rack, brought to you by Kinetic Performance, the makers of Gymaware. In this show, we're just going to try to dive a little deeper into the minds of the top practitioners of the world of sports performance to learn a little bit more of who they actually are and how they got to where they are today. Today, we are joined by the head strength and conditioning coach for the Denver Nuggets, Felipe Eichenberger. Felipe, thanks for being with us, buddy.
How you doing, man? Good to be here. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah, man, I'm fired up. It's always fun to catch up, man. It's always fun to rap a little bit, especially with what you guys got going right now, life in the bubble, which is so intriguing to me. But before we get too far, my friend, who is Felipe?
Just this simple guy coming from Brazil where nobody would believe or to be where I am, even like my parents, just like they're like, you cannot play basketball in the United States, and I did it. You cannot have, success in the NBA, and here I am. Not as a player, but that was my dream. A father, 3 kids, amazing partner, amazing wife. She is everything. She makes my job so much more enjoyable and easier because she's a stud. She works and takes care of the 3 kids. There's no joke. And yeah, just a coach trying to make a better athlete.
I think that one thing that a lot of us probably have that too many people don't admit is that little bit of a chip on our shoulder. I think a lot of strength coaches were probably like what we would call gym class heroes, like the tryhards, that at some point someone told them they couldn't do what they do, or they couldn't be an athlete that they ended out being. How much of that still drives you?
Quite a bit. It's like I was a okay basketball player, where growing up, I was always the one there on time. I was there, early, on time, and ready to go, while the guys with more talent, they were late. They were never there. They never put effort on what they did. And I was like, I don't have that talent, but I have to work for what I want. And that kind of like took me where I am today, and like it still drives me every single day to do better things. Um, every day, I mean, it's just like it doesn't matter what you tell me, like the coach is telling, like it's taking care of like his three best players, and I'm not one of them. It's like, cool, I'm just gonna show you that I can't compete, like don't don't sleep on me, so it's like it drives me every day.
I love that, dude. I really do. I like that's a big part of me. I was always the guy that wasn't big enough, wasn't this, wasn't that, wasn't another thing, wasn't good enough. Was always number three, number two, number four, whatever it may be. And there's been a lot of that in
For
in
sure.
my development, and I can appreciate that, man. And I appreciate you putting that out because I think that that's something that all too often I think is actually looked down upon, especially today, like having a chip
Hmm.
on your shoulder and having something to prove. And I don't think that there's any bigger or better fuel for someone than that.
For sure.
But listen, buddy, as a guy who, I mean, shoot, you flipped seasons. You went from Brazil to North America and going about playing and now coaching. It's been a lot of learning situations from down there to up here. So I'm fired up for this, bud. Could you describe for us a learning situation that brought about an epiphany in your career?
Man, I mean, I think I studied that question like 10 times before I answered this. But I mean, there have been many. Um, but I think like one of the biggest one was my couple first 2 years as an assistant, where everybody talks about, you know, form in the weight room, like, in order to like jump higher, run faster, you have to do the things right. You have to squat correctly. If you don't squat correctly, you're not going to be able to jump high, for example. Um, and then I see one athlete that broke the record on the combine, and he's with us. He's ready to go, and I put him through like a squat session, and he was the worst squat sessions I've ever seen. Like he couldn't move, he couldn't like really move in the weight room. It was incredible to me. I looked at him and I'm like, are you serious? You jumped 48 and a half inches on a standing vert in the combine, and the way that your body moves is just, I mean, it's terrible. It was incredible to me, you know what I mean? And you go by the book, like it's my second year as a professional assistant, off season, and you're trying to do everything by the book, right? It's like, hey, we're gonna test you, we're gonna train you, make sure that your hips are okay, like you don't have vagas in your knees and things like that. And then he comes in and you're like, hey, let's do a simple squat, like just barbell, just a warm up. And you just look and you're like, wow, this is incredible because you can jump really high. I mean, they're, I mean, they're playing around by hitting their head in the rim, like a crazy thing, right? And then you come in the weight room and you move like this. It's like, at that moment right there, it just showed me, it's like, hey, I got to go outside the box. What should I do with this athlete? Should I try to correct him, or should I make him stronger where he is right now? Because I mean, he's pretty strong, but like, what I mean, like now we could talk about decreasing injury rates and things like that. How should I train these athletes? Like the book's not going to really help me, because the book is telling me like, hey, to jump higher, you got to jump, you got to squat 2.5 times your body weight. For example, it's like if I put 2.5 times body weight on his back, he's going to break, you know? So that was one of them. I mean, but I think that's like, into this day, I talk about the story just because that kind of woke me up to training a NBA athlete.
Well, and I think too that that just leads to a better question, and that is how much do we really need to quote unquote fix?
For sure, for sure. Yeah, that's a really good point, because I mean, we talk about is fixing athletes, you're like, and it's like, should we fix the athlete, or should we make them stronger and at that position they are comfortable with, you know. I mean, when you got an athlete at 20, I mean, in NBA now, like 20 years old, he's probably been playing basketball for at least 10, 11 years old. So how much is going to change, you know? And even talking about skills, like somebody comes to the NBA shooting after 20, like 10 years, how are you going to change his shooting form? You know, it's tough.
No doubt, man. And I think that that's something that we all like to kind of jump the gun at. Now, there's obviously before people start going off. Of course, there are orthopedic situations that need to be addressed, but when it comes down to it, like maybe the reason that they're freaks is because they're freaks and they do these things a little differently.
Hmm.
Like if they were the norm, they might not be in the NBA. Like,
100%.
you know, kind of
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, but that to me was like, it was incredible to see, you know. It was just like, as a young strength coach, you're trying to collect every single data, go, do everything what the book tells you. And then it's like, does that work? Yeah, of course. But you have to get outside the box. You have to learn how to train different people in different situations. You have to, I mean, you always expect to have a full gym to train an athlete. And then when you have a mini band and a 2-inch band, monster band, what are you going to do? Can you train the guy then, Um, so,
Yeah, dude. I mean, there's so many different ways where you have to be creative, especially get into the road and this, that, and the third. But yeah, I mean, it's just such a unique environment with a unique, you know, subset of people that are just so like less than the 1% of like the genetic lottery.
hmm hmm
It's just is what it is.
it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. But listen, brother, as an inquisitive guy who's been around the world, up and down, trying to find better ways to connect and grow and help these people perform better. If you had one question that you could answer, what would that, if you could, had one question you could ask and get answered, excuse me, what would that question be and why?
Um, Now our field, I think about static stretching. Like, I mean, if that makes sense. I mean, I feel like there's so many questions about stretching, um, that, there's so many studies out there and there's so many opinions. And I wish that's like, there's a question I could answer and I could know more about it, if that makes sense. You know, it's like, is it good or is it bad for you? Like, it's all over the place. I mean, I don't know if that answers your question like straightforward, but it's just like something that always intrigues me. And it's like, people talk about like, why is stretch bad? Should they stretch before or after? Should they stretch? I mean, like, I'm like, hey, I'm going by the study, but it's just like, how does it make you feel? You know? Um, so that's like, I think it's a short answer to your question, but that's one thing that's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
dude, but
could.
100%. Like, it, static stretching is like the eggs of like what we do, right? It's like one day it's good, one day it's bad. And like, I mean, I got an interesting group of guys that I get to work with here, and we're, we lift before every practice. And I'm
Hmm.
like, all right, so if we go out there to warm up, like, what do you guys think we're gonna need? Like, I mean, just like a short stretch, I think would help us a lot. All right. I mean, like, whether the research says that's good or bad, if your five best players are telling you that this is what they need to do to be ready for practice, why am I going to fight that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know. Like, yeah, hey, you know what? It may lower your power output for the first like 10 minutes of warm up. Do you really need that massive of a power output for the first 10 minutes of your warm up? I mean, I don't know. Like,
Mm, yeah.
I know
That's
that
the thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, like I use an example, like our best player loves stretching, loves dead stretching. And he averages 26, 10, and 9. I mean, that's his average.
Yeah. Like,
So if he's like, hey, can you stretch me before the game? And, he's been stretching before the game for, 4 or 5 years now. And it's like, well, actually, stretching is not good for you. Like, if I stop stretching him, he tells me like, man, I'm stiff. If I do stretching, he's like, man, I feel good. It's like, okay, well, I mean, look at your average or look at your numbers. I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, I don't know. That's a tough one there.
yeah. I mean, if a guy's averaging about a triple double, I think we're going to keep doing what we're doing, Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
If it ain't broke,
Why fix it?
Yeah. But listen, man, I know that this is a tough question to ask right now, because you're in the bubble going on almost the start of your 3rd month at this point.
Yep. 64 days.
Yeah. So we are into the 3rd month. But
Mhm.
when you get a chance and you get some downtime, what is Felipe's escape?
I feel like my escape is gonna be different when I leave the bubble than it was before, because now I just want to go to a park and run around with my kids with no, like, I don't know, no technology, and just like do silly things with my kids. I think that's gonna be my escape for a while. Just not have a schedule. Like, I mean, just like, hey, let's go for to the park to play, and just like play different things, and just I don't know, just be free.
I love that, dude. Selfishly, because I love watching you guys play. I hope you get it. It's another couple weeks,
Hope so too.
but as soon as that time comes, man, I'm excited for you guys to get that opportunity. I think that you guys have been doing awesome out there, and I'm really it's so fun to watch that team play, and I'm fired up for you guys. I think you guys are doing great out there, man, and I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us today, Felipe. It's great to see you again, brother.
Appreciate you, man. Anytime.
Yeah, man. We'll be in touch soon, buddy.
Sounds good.
Yeah, man. Cheers.